We're back on the record in FECR 153477. Welcome back, jurors. When we left off, State was examining Sergeant Peterson. Sergeant Peterson, you're still under oath, and counsel, you can continue your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Sergeant Peterson.
Good morning.
So when we left off yesterday afternoon, we had just discussed the tag report that you had obtained from the download of the defendant's phone that was done by Investigator Holst at Sea Rapids Police Department, correct?
That's correct.
And the tag report, is that something that, just to kind of get us back in the mind frame here we left off, was that something where you went through the download information and tagged things that you felt could be relevant or important in the investigation to examine more closely?
That's correct.
And when we left off, we had just received that into evidence. Are you prepared to talk about the contents of that now?
I am.
Your Honor, if we could publish State's Exhibit 17V at this time. Okay, Sergeant Peterson, we're just going to start here on page 1 and just tell us what we're looking at here.
This is just I would call it a preliminary page of the report, or a title page.
Shows when the report was generated?
That's correct. It was generated on Thursday, February 22nd, or the case generated on that day, I apologize, and then the report was generated on July 22nd.
Okay, let's go to page 2. And what are we looking at on page 2?
This is just showing that it appears that Investigator Holst, with his name at the top, by standby, I'll point it out real quick. Right here is he's the one that did the download and provided this information in this report.
Okay, moving on to page 3 then. What are we looking at here?
It's the overview of everything. There's what program used it. So the Axiom process, that's the program that the Cedar Rapids Police Department uses. I think I've mentioned Cellbrite before. That is another download program that they have access to, or that is used to download phones.
In this case, was it the Axiom that was used to download?
That's correct.
Information? Okay. Now we'll move on to the next page, page 4. So this is our first, then, entry that you found, right?
Correct.
Okay. And it looks like these are described as records. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So this is our first record. And this is something, as we look through these, that, again, you observed in that initial information that was provided in the download and that you asked to put in these reports, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So what are we looking at in this first record here?
If you look at the top left corner where it says Photos, Media Information, right up here, that is one of the categories that was within the program that you can search. As I testified before, the search or the download is only from the 17th to the 19th, so it's a limited window. But for this particular item, it brings up pictures and what was recorded within the phone at a certain time. This particular picture is at 11:32 a.m. on the 14th.
What does that mean, 11:32 a.m. on the 14th, at least from your kind of knowledge of this tag report and what that indicates?
In some shape or form, the phone saved this item to the background, I would say metadata of what was searched and what the individual was using on the phone.
And what are we looking at here, just for the record, on record 1?
This is a machete that I believe you can purchase at Walmart.
Okay, can we move on then to the next? Hang on one second. Just one more point about that, about record 1. It looks like in the category there that says deleted. What do we see there?
Recently deleted.
And what does that mean based on your understanding of this tag report?
That's in a file that's been deleted recently. I can't testify when, but recently within the phone download itself or the phone's information.
Looks like there's a time down there that says deleted date time.
So, okay, so on 2/19 at 9:45 a.m., that file would have been deleted, or that picture.
So on February 19th in the morning hours around 9:45 a.m., this tag report indicates that this photo that had been saved of this machete then was deleted at that time.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I think we'll just continue on here. What do we see on the next page here?
This is more, I would call metadata that's part of the record.
Anything stand out in this information of significance in your investigation?
Not that I can see here.
Okay, moving on to the next page here. This is page 6. For record 1 on page 6, what are we looking at here?
So again, this is under the pictures. If you look at the top left corner here, the first picture is of a female that has duct tape over her mouth with hair wrapped inside of the duct tape around her mouth, and then a bloody nose, and she appears to be crying.
And based upon your review of the evidence that was recovered in this case, particularly from Mr. Louisma's vehicle, was there evidence of duct tape that had hair in it?
Yes.
And based upon your review of photographs and evidence that was collected about the condition of Melody Hoffman's face and body, is this consistent with a photo of what she appeared like when she was found?
Yes.
And based upon your investigation in this case, is your opinion this is consistent with a photo of Melody Hoffman?
Yes.
Now, when does this say that this photo was created?
It says it was created on 2/18 at 4:05 in the morning and 32 seconds. Right here.
Now, based upon your understanding of what this record indicates and what created time means, does that necessarily indicate that this is when the photo was taken?
No.
Okay. Does this, in your experience and knowledge of interpreting these records, indicate this is when a photo was accessed?
Likely.
And there's a created time, a last access date time, and a last modified time. You see that?
I do.
And are those all the same date and time?
They are.
And for the record, what is the date and time we're looking at here?
2/18 of 2024 at 4:05 and 32 seconds a.m.
Is there anything else within the metadata here that we're looking at on this page that stood out to you as particularly pertinent?
No.
Moving on to record 2 here. Looks like that record 2 kind of flows over into the next page. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And what are we looking at in record 2 in terms of why you felt this was significant in your investigation?
This is a photo of Defendant Van Patten. It's a selfie, it appears to be, and he's wearing what appears to be Melody's glasses.
And is there some message or some kind of embedded written statement within that?
There's a text line that says, "Anyone around CR got some nose studs?"
And going to the next page here, is this a continuation of the metadata for that photo of Dakota Van Patten with Melody Hoffman's glasses?
It is.
Okay. And what does it indicate as far as a created date time or an accessed time to this photo on McKinley Louisma's phone?
It was on the 18th or February 18th at 8:01 p.m. and 34 seconds was the created time. Last access time was February 18th, 2024 at 8:23 and 25 seconds p.m. And then the last modified time was 2:18 of 2024 at 8:01, 34 seconds p.m., same time as the created time.
Does this indicate then that McKinley Louisma's phone accessed this photo of Dakota Van Patten wearing Melody Hoffman's glasses on or about that time or date?
Yes.
And moving on to record 3 here that just begins at the bottom of this page and flows over into the second page here. What are we looking at in record 3?
This is an image of a balaclava or like a face mask.
Can you say what that is again?
Balaclava?
Okay. All right. What is that?
It's a ski mask essentially, or face covering for cold weather.
And what does the metadata reveal about when, first of all, what kind of entry this is in his tag report? I mean, what is it?
It's one of the pictures within the phone.
Okay, so this is a photo that was in his phone?
Yes.
What does this indicate as far as when this photo was accessed?
On 2/17 of 2024 at 9:57 p.m.
Okay. Scrolling down a little bit more here. Anything else in that metadata for the photo of the face covering?
No.
Okay. Going on to the next page here, record 4, what are we looking at here?
This is a picture of I would call it a face covering. That's in camouflage. Again, probably possibly for cold weather or a skin cover for your face.
And where was this found in the phone and what area?
This is all still in the pictures files.
Okay, so this is still a picture file that was in his phone.
Correct.
Okay, and when does it show when this was created or accessed?
On February 17th, 2024 at 9:57 p.m.
All right, moving on then to the next entry here, record 5. What are we looking at in record 5?
If we may, can we scoot back up just a little bit to the
Sure,
metadata?
yeah. If there's something else that you need to tell us about the metadata in previous record 4.
So it appears most of these face coverings were searches on Walmart, and the reason I believe that is right here. It says caches / Walmart electronics, and it's a cached file, a picture file.
Okay, what does that indicate to you as far as how these pictures were originally accessed on the phone?
Likely searched on the internet using Walmart.com.
And then, since the search then turns into a photo file, what does that indicate to you?
That for whatever reason the phone saved that information. I can't testify to why the phone saved it.
Do you know possible ways that the phone would have saved that information?
The defendant could have saved it himself.
So, like tapping on a photo and saving it?
Correct.
Into your photos?
Correct.
All right. Would screenshot be another option?
That'd be another option too.
Whatever it is, it would end up in the photo library.
Correct.
Okay. Moving on to record 5 here. What are we looking at in record 5?
Another face covering that's camouflage, probably using for hunting. It's got the same kind of style as a balaclava. It's got your face covering and a hood.
And this one actually looks like the eye area is covered too.
Correct.
And what does the metadata show about when this phone was, or this picture was accessed?
Again, on February 17th at 9:57 p.m. And again, if you notice down in the source, Walmart is brought up again in electronics.
So does record 5 here that we just looked like indicate that it was accessed and then saved the photos consistent with the other records we've been looking at?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else about this metadata that stood out?
No.
Okay. Moving on to record 6 then. What are we looking at in record 6?
2-pack of balaclavas look like cold weather ones. That is for the thickness. The time and date created for this one, again, is on the February 17th, 2024 at 9:57 p.m.
Did the metadata information on this indicate it was accessed and saved in a similar fashion to the other records?
I believe so.
Record 7, what are we looking at there?
Continuation of balaclavas or face masks in various different camo patterns for solid colors. Again, the timestamp on this is 2/17/2024 at 9:57 p.m.
Anything else about the metadata that stuck out in this record?
Again, where the source indicates that it came from Walmart.
And then record 8, what are we looking at here?
Another balaclava that's black in color. The face mask, it looks like it might be a little bit heavier as well, not as heavy as the previous two, or 2 records ago, but just another balaclava.
Record, anything else about the metadata in this that stood out to you?
It's consistent with the previous records we've looked at.
And record 9, what did we looking at in record 9?
Another face mask covering that's a different camouflage pattern.
Anything about the metadata in this particular entry that stood out? It looks like it maybe has a different access time.
That's correct. On February 17th, 2024 at 10 p.m. And again, it's the source appears to be from Walmart.
Record 10 here starts at the bottom of this page and moves on to the next one. What are we looking at in record 10?
Another hunting pattern or camouflage pattern for a balaclava.
And when was that created or accessed?
On February 17th, 2024 at 9:57 p.m.
Was there anything else about the metadata in this particular photo that was found that stuck out to you as significant?
No.
Okay. Now we're on to record 11. What do we see in record 11?
This is a set of gloves, or a pack of gloves. They appear to be nylon, or not nylon, but rubber gloves used to cover your hands.
You familiar with this product?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So are these gloves different than like your regular sort of kitchen gloves?
Correct. Not this particular brand, but it would be the same type of glove that officers would use to put on their hands at crime scenes to eliminate your DNA getting onto other evidence.
Okay. And when was this accessed or created?
On February 17th at 2024 at 9:53 p.m.
Anything else stick out about this entry here?
Again, it comes from Walmart, it appears, from the source data.
Okay, thank you. And then record 12 just begins on the bottom of page 18, goes into the next page here.
Looking at a green camouflage, looks like to be maybe a heavy winter weight balaclava. It was searched, or it was recorded on 2/17 of 2024 at 10 p.m.
Anything else stick out about this particular entry?
No.
Record 13, what are we looking at?
Another balaclava, black in color. There's a symbol to the right there. It looks like it might be for heat, as it's got fire around it. I don't understand that part. Again, this record was recorded on 2/17/2024 at 9:56 p.m.
And was there anything else about the metadata contained in that record that you found to be significant?
Again, Walmart.
Record 14, what are we looking at?
Similar balaclava face mask. That's green in color, camouflage, as the blue one that we previously saw. It was recorded on 2/17/2024 at 9:57 p.m. Again, I'll note that it's within the Walmart source information.
Okay. And then continuing to scroll here, it looks like we're on maybe a different area of the report. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay, and so what area of the report now are we beginning to look at?
This is the videos that was within the download I received right here.
Okay, so this would then contain, beginning in this part of the report, videos that you saw in the download information that you identified and tagged as potentially relevant or significant to your investigation.
That's correct.
Okay, so our first record here, can you tell us about that?
This is multiple clips or thumbnails of what the video would have been. The video doesn't play within the tag report. And depicted in those first three thumbnails is Dakota Van Patten, smoking what appears to be a vape pen, laying on a bed, wearing a hat, shirtless, and wearing what appears to be Melody's glasses.
And what can you tell us about what the metadata revealed in terms of when McKinley Louisma's phone accessed this video?
It was on 2/18 of 2024 at 9:59 p.m. If you scroll down a little bit further to the source information, you'll notice that it appears it was a Snapchat file right here, documents/com/.snap.file.
Okay.
So the file likely came from Snapchat to the defendant.
In your experience and training in this area of interpreting this download information, this tag report, is this consistent with the user of this phone then using Snapchat to access and view this video?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
But this shows the phone accessing this video one way or another,
Yes,
and that the source of that video was likely
from Snapchat, yes.
Okay. Scrolling on then a little bit further here, we have another record. That's the only video that we identified.
That's the only video, that's correct.
This is titled iOS, can you scroll back up? App cache, what's that mean?
That's the operating system for the phone itself.
Okay.
And then there's the cache that the phone keeps within records. Again, I don't understand that part, but I can read the timestamps and the information that is saved within the cache.
So these are, it looks like the first one at least, an image that was on the phone of McKinley Louisma at some point in time and only saved in the operating system, not like in the photos.
Correct.
Okay. So the iPhone is able to at least save some images, it looks like, and other information that may not be saved to photos, but was accessed by the phone.
Correct.
Okay. So record one here, what are we looking at?
It is a pair of, I would call, dishwashing gloves or rubber gloves. I'll note that the URL that's on here, again, comes up as Walmart.
And what does the metadata then reveal about when this image was created or accessed and then saved to the iPhone's internal app cache?
It would have been on February 17th, 2024 at 9:53 p.m. again.
All right, then moving down to record two, what are we looking at in record two?
Looks like just another version of the first record, just a different color. Again, I'll note it appears that this information came from Walmart, and the timestamp on it was February 17th, 2024 at 9:53.
And is this an item that's consistent with the previous record?
Yes.
Moving down to record three then, that starts on this page and then kind of continues into the next one. We'll be looking at there.
This is another picture of a balaclava, and I believe these are going to somewhat mirror what some of the pictures we've already looked at in the previous records, do the timestamps and then basically the actual item itself.
Okay, so we can scroll through this then. Record 3, record 4, record 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Let's stop there. So At this point in time, then, within the phone's operating system, at the time, date and time indicated on this record, you found that the phone's operating system had saved these images, meaning they were accessed and saved.
Correct.
At these times. And were these records so far consistent with some of the entries that you also found that appear to be consistent with being saved as photos?
Yes.
And then we start back on the exhibit here with record 25 and 26. And does that complete the information that came from the operating system?
I believe so.
Is there more entries in this report then?
I don't believe, there might be. Yes, yes.
Okay, so now we're at a different section of the report here, the network usage connections. Can you tell us about that?
This is one of the categories that the phone tag or the phone download had. I noted this one because Defendant Van Patten's phone was a OnePlus Nord and 200 on 5G, and then also the time that it was first connected and last connected was significant, being February 17th and February 18th of this year.
All right, so does this indicate then a Wi-Fi connection that was made between Mr. Louisma's phone and what appears to be, based on previous record in this case, Mr. Van Patten's phone?
Yes.
All right. Turn into the next record here. We have cached locations here. So tell us what a cached location is.
So these locations are geolocations saved within the download. The first record here, if I recall correctly, is Hannah Park.
Okay. All right. And what does this indicate about Hannah Park as far as the activity on the phone around February 18th at 12:26 a.m.?
I would say that it was searched using the phone's either Apple Maps or Google Maps, but it was saved within the phone that that place was searched.
Okay. And then moving on to record 2. And sorry, let's have one more question. Where's Hannah Park again?
In Marion?
Okay. And that, you testified to that yesterday, identified on a map for us? Remember
Yes.
that? Okay. Moving on to record 2 here. What are we looking at in record 2?
I believe this is Morgan Creek Park.
And what does this record here indicate in terms of metadata from the phone?
It was on the 18th, or February 18th of this year at 2:26 in the morning.
What does this show in terms of this location and the timestamp date?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
What does this show in terms of this location and the timestamp date? What does the timestamp date mean?
That's when that time or that location was searched, I believe.
And you said that location is consistent with Morgan Creek Park?
I believe so. I think so, or it's Lily Pond. I apologize that trying to look at the latitude and longitude to verify that, but I can't recall right now.
But based on your recollection, it's either Lily Pond or
Morgan Creek.
Morgan Creek. Okay. Record 3, what does this indicate?
This was another location search within that night on 2/18 at 2:24 in the morning.
And based upon your investigation in this case, were you able to determine what location was searched at that time?
It was searched. I don't recall what it was for, but it wasn't significant enough to document.
Okay.
Just that it was searched at. It was a record within the phone the evening in question.
And then moving down then to record 4, what are we seeing in record 4?
Another location that was logged that night within the cache.
what did your investigation reveal about that?
It wasn't another location that was significant. It was just searched during that time.
And is that it for the cache location information?
Yes.
Just to clarify here, based on your understanding of those cache locations and your training experiences, does this information indicate that those locations were searched or noted the phone at those locations?
The location was likely searched, is my understanding.
And searched through what medium, if you could tell?
Looking at the source, I would venture to say it was through Apple Maps, as it says, com.apple.routine to cache. So it appears that it's an Apple application using Apple Maps. I would presume that.
So the standard maps I'm trying to say directionality, when people look up how to get places, basically.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And so I think we have maybe one more page here. Well, a couple more pages, possibly. There we go. iOS Wi-Fi profiles here. What is an iOS Wi-Fi profile? Why is that tagged as a record?
It's part of the Apple operating system. Again, it appears that I noted this based on the time and what the network states. It appears that it would have been the same model as Defendant Van Patten's phone. And again, the time stamp is the most significant since it is at 2:18 on the 2024 at 2:28 a.m.
Does this indicate in your training experience that then McKinley Louisma's phone accessed the like the hotspot Wi-Fi
Yes,
of Dakota Van Patten's phone?
or vice versa.
On the next page, we have a record here of Wi-Fi locations. Can you tell us what this means?
I noted this just because of the timestamp. It was on February 17th, 2024 at 10:56 p.m.
And February 17th, 2024 at 10:56 p.m., what kind of Wi-Fi location is being noted here?
Based on my knowledge of the investigation, this would possibly be at the Hummingbird address, or Hummingbird Lane address.
So this would show an access to Wi-Fi in your training experience from Mr. Louisma's phone to Wi-Fi at Hummingbird where he lived.
Correct.
All right, now if we could present to you really quick another image for identification, so I may need to take this down just briefly, Judge. And what we'll be presenting to you is State's Exhibit number 17V1.
Counsel, would you please approach?
Sure.
Jurors, there's a matter I need to address. It won't be long, but I'm going to give you like about a 10-minute break. If you just please remember the admonition, and then take a 10-minute break, and then we'll see you back here very shortly. You can always seat it. You can step down. All right, folks, we're back on the record in FECR 153477. Sergeant Peterson, you're still under oath, and counsel, if you can remind us where we were in terms of the exhibit that you had shown for identification.
Your Honor, we had shown State's Exhibit number 17V1 for identification. However, before we go into that, we're going to go back to the previous exhibit and ask to publish State's Exhibit 17V for some clarification questions.
All right. Okay, 17V is published now.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Sergeant Peterson, we're back on State's Exhibit 17V, and for the record, this is page 36, where we previously noted some cached locations. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Now, we're going to go back through the records here. Is there some clarification that you'd like to make regarding your interpretation of these records?
Yes, on record 1 and 2.
Let's start with record 1 here. So, what we're looking at under record 1 is a tag that says travel/location, and then some latitude and longitude information and some accuracy information. What does that all mean there?
So this location actually is Morgan Creek Park. I misspoke earlier and said Hannah Park. This is Morgan Creek. The cache location within the Apple, presumably the Apple app or Maps app, if an individual would to search that location and then you use your maps to guide you there, obviously your phone is going to have GPS and track your location to where you need to go to let you know you've arrived. Within the accuracy, I'll note that there's 3.5 meter accuracy for where the location is within the latitude and longitude. It also gives the altitude of that location.
So the phone can really tell almost exactly where you are.
Yes.
Now, have you used the Apple Maps function before?
Yes, and Google.
So when you search for a location, to get somewhere else, is it necessary for the phone to be able to identify first where you are?
Yes.
To guide you that other location?
Yes.
So when Apple Maps is accessed in your experience, to generate those directions, they have to start with that location that puts you where you are before they guide you somewhere else. Is that right?
Correct.
So based upon your training and experience, is this also potentially consistent with accessing a map function and then having this data created so you can have a starting point to your next location? Yes,
or an ending point, either or.
Did you notice anything else about record 1 that you wanted to clarify other than at 12:26 a.m. February 18th that the phone was at Morgan Creek Park and accessed information?
I would just note it's consistent with Melody's Life 360 location at Morgan Creek Park at that time.
And so record 2 has another cached location there. Is it similar in all respects to at least the information that's included in record 1 except for a different location?
That's correct.
Okay, and what did you find as the cached location that was recorded in McKinley Louisma's phone on February 18th, 2024 at 2:26 and 53 seconds a.m. when the map was accessed?
That location would have been Lily Pond.
And so that latitude, longitude, accuracy, and such shows the maps was accessed while the phone was at Lily Pond.
Correct.
All right. Is there anything else about these two records that you wanted to clarify?
No.
Okay. And then just to re-verify here, record 3, the other cache locations you found in your investigation didn't relate to any locations that you found to be significant in this case, at least as significant as Morgan Creek and Lily Pond?
No.
All right. Okay, good. So we're going to move on to the next exhibit then.
Okay.
All right, so thanks, Judge, for turning that off for us. So I'm going to present to you then State's Exhibit 17V1 for identification. Show you that. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that?
That is a blown up image from record 2 with the earlier in the tags report that depicts a female with duct tape over her mouth, hair within the duct tape, and a bloody nose, and she appears to be crying.
So early in your testimony, we saw that record, but it was a bit smaller inside the report. Is this a record that allows for a better, more detailed view of that photo?
It is.
Okay, move to enter State's Exhibit 17V1, Your Honor.
Any objection to 17V1?
No, Your Honor.
17V1 is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Publishing now.
Sergeant Peterson, again, have you had an opportunity in this case to review photographs of the condition in which Melody Hoffmanin was found at Lily Pond?
Oh, I have.
And when she was found, did she have injuries in her facial area, including dry blood in the area of her nose and nasal cavity?
She did.
Have you had experience, Sergeant Peterson, with utilizing the camera and photo app within the Apple iPhone?
I have.
Does that allow a user to access a picture and then perform editing functions with the picture?
It does.
What kind of editing functions can be performed with the picture?
You can crop photos. You can adjust the lighting, the color. You can add filters. There's a myriad of things with smartphones that you can do now.
And is one of those editing functions you can do is manually take your fingers and zoom in on?
Correct.
Okay. When that happens, also is another thing you can do is potentially screenshot a photo in order to do more of those functions?
Yes.
When an editing function is performed like that allows you to zoom in on a photo, when that happens in your experience, is there sometimes some pixelation that happens or a loss of detail?
Yes.
It becomes fuzzy sometimes.
Correct.
Okay. In your experience, is this photo consistent with, in your experience, a user that would edit a photo and then lose some of that more specific detail?
Yes.
Is this consistent with what would happen if you were to manipulate a photo?
I would say so.
Based on just the area we're looking at of who you've identified as being consistent with Melody Hoffmanin, in your experience, would an iPhone photo function be able to take a picture like that so close and capture even this detail?
You could.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have for State's Exhibit 17V1 at this time. Sticking with your examination of the defendant's phone, Sergeant Peterson, when you reviewed the defendant's phone to try to find any kind of, I ask you, did you try to find any kind of recent communications the defendant had with other individuals of interest, like, let's start with Melody Hoffmanin.
I did.
Did you find anything on the phone that indicated, at least on your either your manual view of the phone or the information that indicated recent communications with Melody Hoffmanin?
Yes. When we retrieved or had the phone, we have started to screen record Facebook Messenger or Snapchat, because sometimes the phone download or the program won't capture all those messages. So we began at our department consistently screen recording Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and Snapchat. And in this particular case, there was a conversation with Melody late January on the defendant's phone.
Okay, so you found a conversation between the defendant and Melody Hoffman on Facebook Messenger.
That's correct.
Okay, and we're going to get back to that. Right now, could you tell us, were you able to find any conversations in your manual scrolling activation of the phone or in the download information of a recent conversation between Melody and the defendant?
No.
And likewise, were you able to find anything in the phone regarding a recent communication, either text or voice call, between the defendant and Dakota Van Patten between the days of February 17th and February 19th?
I was not.
Now I'm going to shift gears to just another area here of your investigation, Sergeant Peterson. As part of your investigation, did you have an opportunity to review some calls for service that were made to the Marion Police Department? Those calls being maintained in the regular course of business activity of Marion Police Department in the early morning hours of February 18th, 2024.
They did.
Were you able to locate a call for service within those regularly kept business records at the Marion Police Department that corresponded with the approximate location of Defendant Louisma's phone, Melody Hoffman's phone, and Life 360 app, and Dakota Van Patten's phone?
Yes.
And what were you able to locate in terms of a call for service that corresponded with their approximate location on February 18th, 2024 in the early morning hours?
At 1:12 a.m., dispatch received a call for a burglary on Meadowview Drive in the 1400 block, and I believe the address was 1405. There was a male allegedly breaking into a window at that address.
So there was a call for service into the Marion Police Department regarding a suspicion of a burglary at 1405 Meadowview Drive.
That's correct.
As a result of that, did a police officer respond to that area?
They did.
This is at 1:12 a.m.?
Yes.
Who did you find responded to that call?
Officer Stark responded from the north to the south, and he responded on the west side of the call. There was other officers that also responded, but they did not cross the path of the Life 360 locations of Melody's phone. So I focused on Officer Stark's dash cam footage.
So for the record, what's Officer Stark's full name? Uh-oh.
I did his background too. Aaron Stark, I apologize. Aaron Stark is,
spot there.
yeah, it's okay.
So Officer Aaron Stark, then you found that he responded to location and the path of travel of the squad car intersected with Melody Hoffman's Life 360 location.
That's correct.
Did Officer Stark's vehicle have some squad car camera footage?
It did.
Were you able to access that?
I was.
What did you observe of interest on that squad car cam footage?
So all our patrol cars have a dash cam that point out the front of the windshield. Like I said, he responded from the north side of town, north of 7th Avenue. He ran with his lights on and traveled down from, it would have been Central Avenue south to 10th Street, and then 10th Street over to 11th Street through our downtown, and 11th Street runs all the way down to Highway 100 and intersects Meadowview Drive, where he would need to turn to go to the call.
And so we do have a map. I don't know that we need to bring it up right now necessarily, but does South 11th Street then head in a east direction towards Highway 100?
South 11th runs north-south.
Okay.
And turns into East Post Road.
And then that turns into East Post Road at Highway 100?
At Grand Avenue.
Okay, I'm way off.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
But in that route, you have testified to, that intersects with Meadowview Drive where this call was.
Correct.
And is that also where Melody Hoffman's Life 360 indicated she was? And then the other information we have about location towers for Defendant Louisma and Mr. Van Patten.
That's correct.
So by comparing the information obtained from those locations and the path of travel of Officer Stark, were you able to find a time when Officer Stark's vehicle passed by what you were able to identify as the defendant's vehicle?
I did.
Okay. Approximately what time did that occur?
Approximately 1:17, or just a few seconds before that.
And based upon that footage, at 1:17 a.m., what direction of travel was Officer Stark's vehicle taking?
He was going southbound at that time.
And what direction of travel was the vehicle you identify as the defendant's traveling?
It was heading westbound from Meadowview Drive to northbound on South 11th or East Post Road towards Officer Stark's vehicle.
So westbound from Meadowview Drive to
Northbound East Post / South 11th.
Did you find that Officer Stark had passed by any other vehicles at or around that time?
No.
In what direction did Officer Stark continue to travel when he passed by?
He turned eastbound onto Meadowview Drive.
Did Officer Stark pass by any other vehicles as he traveled on Meadowview Drive to the call for service?
No.
Were you able to capture video footage and still shots of this encounter?
I was.
Have you had an opportunity to review that squad car footage prior to today's date?
I have.
And to your knowledge, has that squad car footage then been included as an exhibit in this case, marked as State's Exhibit number 17W1?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate recording of that squad car footage?
It is.
Move to enter State's Exhibit number 17W1, Your Honor.
Any objection to 17W1?
No objection.
Exhibit 17W1 is admitted.
And then, have you also had an opportunity to obtain some still shots from that video footage?
Yes.
And have you seen those still shots being made into exhibits in this case as well?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, are those still shots from the squad car camera footage then a fair and accurate copy of captured footage that we discussed today, marked as State's Exhibit 17W2 and 17W3?
Yes.
Move to enter State's Exhibit number 17W2 and 17W3.
Any objection to 17W2 or 17W3?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibits 17W2 and 17W3 are admitted.
Your Honor, we'd like to have permission now to publish first 17W1 and then 17W2 and 17W3.
Publishing now.
Okay, so this will be the video then.
Yes.
If we could go ahead then, we're just going to go ahead and play. Is this video footage from Officer Stark's car?
It is.
And remind us again what direction he's heading
He's heading southbound,
on?
South 11th.
Okay, go ahead. Of course.
225, can you 10-9 your lost traffic? Negative. Male won't answer call back. Said his phone was down.
We just saw a vehicle pass by, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Is that the vehicle that we've been talking about in this case that you identified as Mr. Louisma's vehial?
It's consistent with that vehicle, yes.
Approximately what location are we at here as Officer Stark is traveling south on South 11th Street?
This is the intersection of Meadowview and East Post or South 11th.
And does it appear that Mr. Louisma's vehicle is then traveling north on South 11th?
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead and continue.
Your callback said his phone was dying.
Are you familiar with the location of the residence of Melody and Megan Hoffman?
I am.
And where is that located?
If we could back up the video slightly, I could point it out to the jury. Approximately that. So this is approaching, there's a drainage ditch to the vehicle's right, and then, as you can see, there's a drain here. As we approach the intersection of South 12th Street, which will be right up here at this area, you continue down, you can actually see the street sign right here. As you continue, if you take a right on that street, the Hoffman residence is at the dead end of that street, approximately 2 blocks down on the right-hand side.
In that street there, is that Meadowview Drive?
The one that Officer Stark is traveling on, yes, that's Meadowview.
And so can you access South 12th Street from Meadowview Drive?
Yes.
Okay. Was the defendant's vehicle coming from the relative location of the Hoffman residence?
Relative, yes.
He was in the area of the Hoffman residence.
That's correct.
And now if we could show State's exhibits W2 and W3. 17 W2 here we're looking at. What are we observing in this exhibit?
This is a still shot of Officer Stark's patrol vehicle with the camera running as the defendant's vehicle is passing by at one point.
And so this would indicate just about the time they intersected with each other.
Correct.
Okay. Moving on to State's exhibit 17 W3. What are we seeing there?
Just another shot of the video of Officer Stark's dash cam showing the defendant's vehicle traveling northbound. That includes the taillights in this too. The previous one did not. You could not see the taillights.
Before we get off this area of testimony, Sergeant Peterson, you familiar with the location of Hannah Park?
I am.
Okay, and where is Hannah Park in relation to where these vehicles are right now?
Approximately half mile north and to the west. Actually, where the video begins of Officer Stark's video, there is a street that runs east-west, and I believe it's Fairview. He's very close to that street. If you take Fairview west, it runs directly into the park, and it's approximately 5 blocks to the park from South 11th Street on Fairview.
You said that you have to go northbound back on South 11th to get to Hannah Park?
That's correct.
Okay. And based upon what we're seeing in 17W3 in the previous exhibits, is the Louisma vehicle heading in the direction of Hannah Park?
That's correct.
Okay, I think we're done with these exhibits for now, Your Honor. I'm going to shift gears then to another topic here. Sergeant Peterson, did you have an opportunity to also review the contents of Dakota Van Patten's cell phone?
I did.
And again, your testimony earlier was that you didn't find anything on Mr. Louisma's phone that indicated a voice call between Mr. Van Patten and Louisma between the 17th and the 19th of February. Is that right?
That's correct.
And did you find anything in Mr. Van Patten's phone that indicated a voice call?
I did not.
In reviewing Mr. Van Patten's phone, were you able to locate on it a phone call from his phone to the phone number of Melody Hoffman that would have taken place on February 17th of 2024?
I believe so.
You did find a phone call?
I think so.
Okay.
Can I review the report to double check?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what report do you need to look at?
Well, I apologize. I would have to look at the actual download, but I believe so.
Okay, all right. What did you find in terms of that?
That there's just a phone call made.
Okay. Remember the time of that phone call?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. All right. I'm going to come back to that. So did you also review Dakota Van Patten's phone in terms of looking at some data on there, like pictures and so on?
Yes.
Did you find a picture of Dakota Van Patten in his phone wearing what appeared to be Melody Hoffmanin's glasses?
Yes.
Okay. And did we see some of that on the phone tag report in Mr. Louisma's phone?
We did.
Okay. I'd like to present to the witness State's Exhibit number 17X. Do you recognize that photo?
I do.
All right. And what does that photo contain?
It's a selfie of Defendant Van Patten. Appears to be smoking a cigarette or a cigar in a vehicle in the front seat passenger. He's wearing a hoodie and a beanie with what appears to be Melody's glasses, wearing them.
So then we're going to move to State's Exhibit number 17X1 and see if you can identify that for us before we publish.
This would have been the record that was within the phone tag report. That includes the metadata that we've seen with all the other tag report that I created for the Defendant Louisma's phone. But this one is specifically for the picture of the previous exhibit.
And does this show approximately when, I'm sorry, it's backing up. Is this information from the tag report for Mr. Van Patten's phone or Mr. Louisma's?
This is from Van Patten's phone.
Does this show approximately when that was, that picture was created or accessed?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the date on that?
2/18/2024 at 3:13 p.m.
So, is that a fair and accurate copy of the information from that photo tag report from Dakota Van Patten's phone?
Yes.
Move to enter State's Exhibit 17X1, and if I haven't moved to enter it yet, 17X.
Any objection to 17X or 17X1?
No objection.
17X and 17X1 are each admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Will she know?
Sergeant Peterson, is this State's Exhibit 17X that you just identified for us?
Yes.
And who does this show?
Defendant Van Patten.
What's he doing?
Looks like he's smoking a cigar or a cigarette, sitting in the front seat of a vehicle, wearing what appears to be Melody's glasses.
And let's talk about what he's wearing. What's he have on his head?
He's got a black beanie that says Colorado on it.
What's he wearing as far as on his body?
He's got a sweatshirt that he appears to be wearing, and also then appears to be wearing Melody's glasses as well, the clear frame glasses that were recovered at his residence.
Does this sweatshirt appear to be consistent with the sweatshirt that Mr. Van Patten has been identified wearing in the surveillance footage from the Quick Star and the other surveillance footage in this case?
I couldn't recall that.
Just looking close there on kind of where his arm is and whatnot, do you see the markings in his sweatshirt?
I do.
Okay. Is that consistent with, I guess we can't see it on the big one there. Is that consistent with the markings of Under Armour?
Can you point me to where you're looking?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's right behind our information there.
If I recall correctly, he was wearing a red Under Armour shirt that night. Is that?
Our surveillance footage
Yeah.
previous in the case showed he was wearing a green Under
Green?
Armour.
Okay.
Does that appear to be consistent with that sweatshirt?
With that sweatshirt, yes, there was, when he came into the police department, I believe he was wearing red that night.
So when he came to the police department the next day, he had red on?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And based upon your investigation into this case, including the information taken from the Quick Star footage, was Dakota Van Patten in that footage wearing a green Under Armour sweatshirt?
Yes.
Moving on to State's Exhibit 17X1. And we have some metadata here from this phone tag report. Sergeant Peterson, again, what does this show in terms of when this this particular photo was last modified? We have some dates from 1969 here, but let's focus on the last modified date time there.
The last modified date that his phone recorded was 2/18/2024 at 3:13 p.m.
And based upon this being a selfie and the kind of what happens when you inverse a selfie, is this consistent with what seat of the vehicle?
Driver's seat? The driver's seat?
When you selfie and reverse it, your testimony earlier was?
I apologize, it'd be the passenger seat.
In furthering, we can go ahead and take this down for now. In furthering your review of the download of Dakota Van Patten's phone, did you also locate a photograph of a set of 4 numbers?
Yes, I did.
And where did you locate that photograph?
It was within, I believe, the picture section of the download.
And within that picture section of the download, were you able to tell from what medium or what app this photo was taken?
From Snapchat, I believe.
I want to present to you what's been identified as State's Exhibit 17Y.
So the picture of the exhibit on this one for 17Y is a blurry background that's dark in color with the numbers 5917 in large print across I would say at an angle across the picture. And it was last modified on 2/17 of 2024 at 11:59.
Through your review of the other evidence in this case, Sergeant Peterson, were you able to tell where Melody Hoffmanin was located according to her Life 360 and her phone information at the time of 11:59 p.m. on February 17th?
It would have been Morgan Creek Park or Cherry Hill Park.
And this number, is this a fair and accurate copy of the information you accessed from Mr. Van Patten's phone?
Yes.
Move to enter State 17Y.
Any objection to 17Y?
No.
17Y is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Publishing now.
So this is State's Exhibit number 17Y with the 4 numbers contained within a photograph that you've testified comes from the Snapchat app and was found in Mr. Van Patten's phone. Is that right?
That's correct.
And what significance, if any, are these 4 numbers?
That is the passcode to Melody's phone.
Detective Peterson, are you aware of other information gathered in this investigation regarding the health data in Melody Hoffman's phone?
Yes.
And are you aware of approximately when that health data showed that there was an elevation in Melody Hoffman's heart rate, and ultimately the health data was either deactivated or the heart rate stopped?
It was approximately midnight.
And your previous testimony here was that Melody's Life 360 information revealed that she was in the area of Morgan Creek Park.
Correct.
You're going to have another exhibit to show. I can keep going if you want. Okay. All right. So previously entered and received into evidence in this case, I believe, is State's Exhibit number 17AA. You could look at that. Detective Peterson, are you familiar with that?
It's not up yet. There we go. I am.
Okay. What is that?
That's a screenshot of Melody's Life 360 that was provided by Megan when she reported her missing.
Is this the exhibit that you used to determine where Melody Hoffman was located at approximately the time the picture of her passcode number was generated on Snapchat by Dakota Van Patten?
That's correct.
We can publish that really quickly.
Was that previously admitted?
I believe so. I think you're Megan Hoffman. If not, we can offer it again. That's my fault. I've been jumping around too much.
It was admitted.
Oh, that's right.
17AA is published now.
Can you tell us, based upon your experience and your investigation in this case, what this exhibit from Life 360, the Life 360 of Melody Hoffman, indicates as far as her relative location?
So Life 360 will track your locations. When you make a trip or go somewhere, it will document the beginning and the end. The most notable on this one is the lower half of this picture with the 2-mile trip from Morgan Creek. Purple, I believe, is a beginning location, and white dot is an ending location. And it shows that this trip was approximately 4 minutes long between 11:58, I believe, is what the math would come out to be, to 2:02. I know it looks like it's 6, but it is 11:58.
So does this indicate between 11:58 p.m. on February 17th and 12:02 a.m. on February 18th that, according to Life 360, Melody was on a round trip from Cherry Hill to Morgan Creek?
Yes,
Does that indicate any trips back and forth between them?
just a round trip, one single trip.
And is the 7212 E Avenue Northwest, what's that?
I believe that's the location for Morgan Creek's physical address.
So this shows the relative location of where Melody Hoffman was, according to PON Life 360 app.
Correct.
When the health data revealed the elevated heartbeat and when the passcode was entered into Mr. Van Patten's phone.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks, Your Honor. Shifting gears again then, on McKinley Louisma's phone report, did you have the opportunity to access any activity on that Maps app that we talked about earlier?
Yes, it did.
I want to present to you State's Exhibit number 17Z. Do you see that?
I do.
Can you tell us what it is?
This is a screenshot of the phone download that Officer Holst had provided. It has on the left-hand side, I would say, the categories that are displayed, and then in the middle is locations, and most notably it's documenting Hannah Park.
This is a fair and accurate copy of the information you obtained from that cell phone download report that Investigator Halls put together regarding activity on the Maps app of Mr. Louisma's phone.
Yes.
Move to enter state 17Z.
Any objection to 17Z?
No objection.
17Z is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Published now.
So now we're looking at State's Exhibit number 17Z. And again, now that we're looking at Sergeant Peterson, can you tell us what this shows in terms of the detailed information? I think that's highlighted at the top and then again in the right margin.
So if we look on the right-hand side, the artifact information says that it says Hannah Park, and the time that was accessed was 2/18/2024 at 12:57 and 14 seconds a.m. Using, it appears to be the iOS Apple Maps to find that location.
So does this show then well, that was pretty good layman's terms, but in layman's terms, that the phone at this point in time accessed the Apple Maps and then essentially was looking for directions to Hannah Park?
That's correct.
And this occurred on February 18th at 12:57 a.m.?
That is correct.
Is this consistent with the information that we've already discussed and presented this morning as far as the location of Mr. Louisma, Mr. Van Patten, and Melody in that Meadowview type area when they encountered the officer?
It is.
And the direction that the vehicle was heading?
That's correct.
Okay, I think we're done with this exhibit. Thanks, Your Honor. Move on to another topic.
All right, let's go ahead and take our morning recess. Jurors will be in recess for 15 to 20 minutes. So please remember the admonition, and we'll see you back shortly.